Okay, so in this video, I just wanted to show you really quickly how to add your text and put an expanded outline around it so that you'll be able to see it once you place it on top of either your shape or your image, because that is part of our constraints to create text with an outline and place it either on your shape or your image. So to create text, you're going to go to the Type tool, which is the letter T over here. And you want to click over here off of your shape because your text is black and you won't be able to see it if you type it right here on top of what's already black. So I am going to select my text and then choose my font that I want to use. And I'm going to use this font right here. So see, it's all solid black. It's wider letters, so I don't have to worry about accidentally, pulling one of them off whenever I do this. But it's a really small size. It's only 12 points. So I want to make this all the way down to 72 points because I know that 72 points is 1 inch tall. And so I want it to be at least that big or bigger so that it's easy to weed when I go to weed out my vinyl decal. So after I have my text, I'm going to go ahead and click the black arrow selection tool here. Okay. And then if I wanted to curve my text to maybe fit right here, um, for you guys up here at the top right, there's like a little, looks like a folded map or like a mesh net type thing right up here because all your tools are up here on top. Mine, because I'm in a newer version of Illustrator, are over here on the right. So for you, that tool's called the Warp tool. I think you can get to it the same way I'm about to do it, which is through this little FX special effect menu right here that's under the appearance tab on your right panel. Okay, so I'm going to click this and I'm going to come down to warp, and then I have all these choices of things I could do to my text. So I'm just going to click on one of them, like arc right here, and if I have this preview box checked, it's going to automatically show me what it looks like. I can't move it or do anything to it because I have this box still open. I could make it have more or less of an arc to it. Okay. I could choose something else. And you can sit here and play with these down through here and see if there's one that you like more than another. You don't have to use any of these. This is just if you don't want flat, straight text. Okay. For my purposes, I do want flat, straight text. So I'm just going to click cancel on this. I just wanted to make sure you knew how to get to it and do it. But I want my text to go across right here. And so I'm going to need to rotate it. Okay. So if the first thing I want to do after I have selected it is right click on it and say create outlines right here, because that's going to turn it into a vector and make it scalable and allow me to do what I'm wanting to do with it. So I want to place it here. And to do that, I want to hover over the outside edge until I see this double-ended arrow. Okay, and that's going to let me hold down my left mouse button and rotate it however I want to rotate it. And then I'm going to go ahead and move it down here and see if it's where I want it to be. And it's a little more rotated than I want it to be because I want it to be kind of even with the flat side of this heart. So I'm going to rotate it back a little bit. Okay. And you can see that it's using my guidelines here to line it up with the koala's nose. So that looks pretty good. I like the way that looks. And because I have done the create outlines, I can see my text on top of this because it has a blue outline around it right now, which will help us as we do our next steps. So after we have our text created and we have created outlines by right-clicking and choosing create outlines and have moved it onto our image wherever we want it to be, then we have to go to our appearance tab over here in our panel that's on the right. And over here, we are going to need to add a new fill color. So for me, it doesn't show up automatically like it does for you guys right here by double clicking the word contents. So for you, you're going to double click the word contents and yours will show up. For me, I have to click this little dot right here to open the panel. So I'm going to double click that word contents. I'm going to see what's going on here right now. It's showing me that I don't have any stroke line around my text and I have a black fill color. I'm going to click to the right of the black fill color to select that. And then I'm going to come down here to the bottom where these three buttons are and click the one in the middle. When I hover over it, it says Add New Fill. I'm going to click that, and it's going to put a second fill in right here. On the second fill, the one down here, I'm going to click it and choose the color white. Okay. Once I have done that, I want to make sure I have this layer for this fill color selected right here before I go to my special effects menu. Then I'm going to click on FX to add a new effect, and I'm going to come up here to Path, okay, and then Offset Path, and I'm going to click that. And when I do, it's going to pop up this little box. I want to check this preview box so it will show me what it's doing. And so right now I can see that my offset is too much because it's overlapping my black letters, so it's too big. On our notes, I told you guys that you want this number to be somewhere between 0.03 to 0.08. So I always start with the largest number, 0.08. And if I hit the tab key, it'll show me what that looks like. So I can look at this and go, oh no, it's still crossing a little bit. I don't want it cutting into my black letters. So you want the white lines to touch each other, but not cross over into your black text. So I'm going to go, well, I probably need to come down at least 2 more. So I'm going to try 6 this time. And I can see that's cutting into that one still just a tiny bit. So let's try 5. And so you sometimes just have to play with it till you get it just where you want it to be. And still, it's just a tiny bit. So I'm going to try 4. 4 still touching and looks good. So I am going to leave it at that. The smallest you would want to do is 0.3, okay, which looks like this. Because if it's any smaller than that, then that means your text is too small and it's not going, you're going to have a really hard time reading it. Okay. You can change joins to whichever one of these 3 choices you want. A lot of it depends on your text. So rounded gives the edges, the corners a little more rounding around the edges. And that's the one I like. That's my personal preference. So I'm going to choose it. And then I'm going to click OK. And then the step that most people forget to do after they do this is that you have to come up here to Object, okay, and come down and click on Expand Appearance, because what that's going to do is it's going to put the little blue dots around our white text as well, okay. Once I do that, I am going to hit Control Y on my keyboard to put this in outline mode. And I am going to zoom in a little bit with Control Plus on this text so that you guys can see that there are lines that are crossing into each other, basically. And we need those lines to be fixed and go away. So I'm going to click my text, and you guys should have opened the Window Pathfinder tool with me in class, but if you haven't, it's right here, Window Pathfinder. They're in alphabetical order. And it's going to pop up this little box right here, okay? And I want to use the Pathfinder tools on the bottom row, and it's the third one over, which is called Merge. And so when I click Merge, watch what happens to the text. Okay, so you see how it joined that text together and got rid of the crossing lines. That's what we want it to do, okay? Sometimes when you do this, you will have lines from your image that are also crossing into your text. And if you have that happen, you just have to hold down the Shift key to select 2 things. You would click your text and hold down Shift and select your shape or your image that you're putting it on. And you would click the Merge again to merge that together so that you could get rid of those lines that were crossing into it. And so I'm going to show you, just because for the sake of you guys seeing what I'm talking about, I'm going to bring this text down and put it to where there's this line is cutting through it. Okay, if I were to cut this out right now, it would cut that line through my text and end up having like a puzzle pieces here instead of what I want. So I'm going to click my text, hold down Shift, and click my heart. And then I'm going to click Merge again and see how those lines in between my text disappear. It fixes that to look like that. And then I can hit Control Y to put it back. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you guys can see. So I could have left it like this right here. Like I could have my text on the outside because part of my text is still on my heart. So if I decided I wanted to do that, I could. Or I could just hit Control Z and put it back and put it right there. So when we go to weed our decal, anything that's white, we will be weeding out. So this outline around the text will weed out. So then you'll see how that's going to leave that, make it easy to read your text. And then anything that's white over here in the koala, I would weed out. Okay. So there's one other thing right here that if my text, if my shape, I mean, is crossing into my image, and it is, so I can see right here that where it's crossing into my image, I'm going to want to do the same thing. I'm going to want to click both of these. So I need to click the koala first because I can't tell if I have it selected. And then click this. And I want to click the merge, okay? And then that got rid of that crossing line from the heart into my koala's head up there to where now it's all merged into one shape. So when I grade this for you guys, I hit Control Y to check it. If I see any crossing path lines between your image that you traced and your image that you drew yourself, or between your text and either one of your images, then I'm going to send it back to you because it won't cut properly on the vinyl cutter if there are any lines, those path lines crossing each other. And that's all you have to do to add your text. Stay tuned for the next episode.